I'm going to play piano concert, which is all piano until the very last song. So you can wait to see something different, as well as enjoy the whole concert. I'm starting out with a work by Mozart, whom you all know as Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, whose name when he was born was Johann Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart. And as time went on, he started signing things Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart, because people did that, and they kind of picked which of the names they liked. And so Theophilus actually means love. You love God or God loves you. It's a Greek word. And so someone translated it to Amadeus, maybe he did, which means the same thing in Latin. And so then he started signing his name Amadeus in Latin, which was another thing occasionally they did. They signed their names in a foreign language. And anyway, eventually that name stuck. That's why he's called Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. This is the Sonata Facile in C. And he wrote this when he was 33 years old, and he said, this is a beginning work. This is what I'm doing at the beginning. For beginners. And that's why it's called Facile. And here it is. It's got 3 movements, as many sonatas of the time did. And the second and third one go together, so you'll know what happens. The rules of the audience. I'm not going to give you a lot of rules, but some of you know I like rules. Are not to clap between the movements. So when the first movement ends, you're not supposed to clap.
And we know it ends because you stop.
Well, yeah, you'll know because I stop. And then when I get done with the whole thing, I'll say something else. Okay, so here we go. Beethoven. Beethoven wrote a lot of things by himself, but a lot of composers did variations on things written by other composers. And that was included Mozart, Beethoven, and even modern people. I was in something called the Free Theater in New York, and our theater director, who used to write for television, said the same thing. He would just take the themes or melodies written by some other composers and he would add to it. So that's what Beethoven did here. And the piece that I'm going to play for you is a theme that was the English used, which was God Save the King. And at the time, he thought that was really cool that England would have such a great theme or anthem. And so he wrote variations for that. But you may recognize it because later on, it became known as My Country 'Tis of Thee in America. You know, we sing that in school, My Country 'Tis of Thee, Sweet Land of Liberty. And does anybody know what 'tis of thee means?
It is.
Of course, it is. 'Tis. The apostrophe I-S, but it is. Okay. My country 'tis of thee is a land of liberty. That's the point. Here's-
So how many variations was that?
Oh, it was 8.
8 of them? Okay.
Let's see, it says here, let's just get going again, didn't count them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
7.
Okay.
Something that I haven't noticed. Okay, that's Mozart. Next, we have Chopin. He wrote a lot too. You know, he said he only lived till age 39 because Mozart died in his 30s, also did Chopin.
They all died young except for some. Most of them died young.
A lot of them, yeah, even if, you know, they made it past 30, it was still pretty young, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm going to play a nocturne before I do the minute waltz.
Mendelssohn and
Nocturne is somewhere here. And this is Opus 9, number 2, so it means anything to you. Nocturne by Chopin. And now the minute waltz. Chopin had a life partner, his name was George Sand. And when he was composing the minute, what we now call the minute waltz, George Sand's little dog was running around in circles, chasing his tail. And Chopin apparently incorporated that into the minute waltz. The very beginning is what I would guess is the dog running around chasing his tail. The part of the goes like this at the very beginning. That's what I thought was.
Yeah, right.
So what happened is it's a short waltz, but it's a waltz. And waltzes are, beautiful. They're 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can dance to them, and your partner can go around in their beautiful dress that flows in the breeze, and yeah. And so, I thought that maybe what Chopin was doing, but he called it the waltz of the dog. And somehow he or somebody changed it to little waltz. Well, another word for little is minute, which is kind of spelled the same way as minute. So what either a publisher or a particular person, depending on whom you read, did, changed it to minute waltz. And somebody, after Chopin was dead, decided that it should be played in a minute, which is almost impossible, actually. People try it because it is, the signature is molto vivace, which means like really fast. So people, the minute waltz, really fast, let's go. So it's usually played either a minute and a half or 2 minutes and a half in length. So I was playing it at home, and I played it fast, and I got done, and I felt very sad because it sounded horrible. Because it wasn't pretty anymore. So I was reading somewhere that Chopin would have been very unhappy to hear what people have done to his waltz. So I thought, well, if I play it the way Chopin would have written it, it will be the first time that I ever know that anybody's played the minute waltz the way Chopin would have written it. So that's what I'm going to do. But then I'm thinking, you're going to hear the minute waltz, you're not going to hear somebody play it fast. So I just might speed it up a little bit at the end, just so, just whatever.
How many minutes was that?
About a minute and a half.
Minute and a half.
Oh,
That's what you were checking.
Yeah.
really? Well, actually, there's a repeat, which I didn't play, so, you know, it wouldn't really be that fast if somebody played all the
Do
repeats.
you like the Polonaise?
What's that?
Chopin's Polonaise?
He wrote the Polonaise,
I
yeah.
know. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Is it
It's in, I'm not playing it today, but it's in the book, yeah. Keep that in
my
mind.
favorite?
Yeah, so, all right, so I'm gonna say a little bit more about Liszt, because he's pretty cool. He was born the year after Chopin. He was born in 1811. And he was a very spiritually oriented young man. And he was learning piano. He studied with Czerny, who was a fairly famous composer in his own right, as well as many other people later. But he fell in love when he was 16, 17. And her parents and his parents didn't like the match at all. So they broke it up. And he went into a very unhappy state, whatever you call it, I don't know, depression, sadness. But he was, pretty torn apart by that. But he continued with his music. And one day he went to a concert by Paganini, who was playing the violin, and he said, Paganini has really good technique on the violin, so I'm going to develop really good technique on the piano. And he was known for being technically amazing. He went through Europe, but before that happened, he met the Countess Marie d'Agoult in 1833, so he's still pretty young. So then she left her husband, and they would move to Geneva. And then they had 3 children, Blandine, Daniel, and Cosima. And they also lived in Italy for a while. But in 1839, they broke up. So she took the children and moved to Paris. And after that is when he really started touring all over Europe. And at the time, communications were different, but I guess he was pretty well known, and there was Listomania all over Europe. He met a lot of famous people, famous composers. And then he was in Kiev, which is in Ukraine. But he met a Polish princess. Before that, the Ukraine has just been back and forth quite a bit. I mean, it was actually controlled by the Duchy, the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, and then the connection between Lithuania and Poland, so I guess that's maybe why she was the Polish princess. But anyway, she was in Kiev and so was he, and they got together. And then they eventually, he kept writing during that time, and during their time together, he wrote the Liebesstrom, which are 3 different Liebesstrom. That's the plural word, I guess, Liebesstrom. And the third one is the one I'm going to play. And then he also wrote other things, including the Hungarian Rhapsody, number 2, which I'm going to play. And he was Hungarian, so he was in love with the gypsy kind of melodies, and that's what Hungarian Rhapsodies include. So toward the end of the time with her, his son Daniel died at age 20. And then his first daughter, Blandine, died in her 20s. And shortly thereafter, I guess she left him. And so then he ended up doing what he talked about doing many times throughout his life. He went to a monastery. And then he went to Rome. And with the Order of St. Francis is what he joined. He took minor orders. It's called 4 minor orders. So these 4 minor orders are the order of portal, lector, exorcist, or acolyte. So once he had those orders granted upon him in a ceremony, he could legitimately be called Abbé Liszt. And that's how he was known through the later years of his life. And he really was proud of that. So I mention this because it's interesting, but also because the theme that comes through all of his works is the theme of love. He had a love of God, he had a love of man, of women, of the concept of love. And in fact, there are some poems that are typically associated with the Liebesstrom. One that I'm going to play has a German poem associated with it. And the translation of it is by F. Freilegrath. Apparently that's a fairly well-known poem. because I remember my mother singing that years ago, oh, love, 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 so it must be fairly well known. The beginning of it in English is, oh, love, love, so long as ere thou canst or dost on love believe, the time shall come when thou by graves shalt stand and grieve, and see that still thy heart doth glow, doth bear and foster love divine, so long as there another heart shall beat in warm response to thine. That's the first part of it. Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2 by Franz Liszt. Someone who used to be my friend liked this song now. It is by Scott Joplin, who is known for his ragtime songs. And probably the most popular one is the one I'm going to play, which is called Maple Leaf Rag. This, I understand, was a song that was played on more player pianos than any other song. And in fact, it surprises me that people now even are familiar with it, because it was popular, I guess, quite a number of years ago. Now we have Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. He started out wanting to go to sea as a sailor. I guess that's what he did. But he ended up studying music a lot and was known for his ability to orchestrate pieces, but he also wrote a number of very famous solos, of which this is one. The Flight of the Bumblebee. Yeah, I've heard of that one. 1 minute, 15 seconds.
We're timing it.
From the fairy tale opera, Tsar Sultan.
Wow.
So, this is the second to the last number. So there will be a big switch over after this one. I'm going to translate it for you so that when you hear me sing it, you'll know what the words mean. But the other thing I'd like to mention is that Barbara does it a little differently from the way I do it. And I would highly recommend you go on YouTube and listen to her sing this song. She sings it straight through. She wrote it. She can do that. But I decided that it would work better for me if I sang it in parts. This is the basic chorus, which is D, Con, Re, Viendra, 2, that's the title. So it's sung twice. And then there are two recitatives, first that one and that one. And in opera, which this is not, but in opera, recitative is part of the opera which moves the dialogue along. So it's kind of spoken and sung at the same time. And then the arias would be comparable to the chorus. But, you know, things that aren't opera, you probably know, can sometimes have first verses and second verses. There is actually a third verse to this. I'm just going to sing the first 2 verses and the chorus. So this will be repeated. Oh, now I have to translate it too. Come, reviendra tu. D. Say, when will you return? Voilà combien de jours, voilà combien de nuits, voilà combien de temps que tu es reparti. Well, there, how many days and how many nights? See, how much time since you have gone away? Tu m'as dit cette fois, c'est le dernier voyage. Pour ne corps déchiré, c'est le dernier naufrage. You told me this is the last time, it's the last voyage or trip for our hearts ripped apart. It's the last shipwreck. So you can see that she had a sailor that she was in love with, and he said he was going to go away to sea the last time, and he told her it was going to be the last time. Au printemps, tu verras, je serai de retour. In the springtime, you will see, I will be there for the return. Le printemps, c'est joli pour se parler d'amour. Springtime, it's lovely to speak to each other of love. Nous irons voir ensemble les jardins refleuris. We will go together to see the gardens reflowering, et déambuleront dans les rues de Paris. My typo should be in this, plural streets, my type. And we will stroll together in the streets of Paris. And the chorus, dis, quand reviendras-tu? Tell me, when will you return? Dis, au moi, le sais-tu? Say, at least you know, que tout le temps qui passe, that all the time which passes by, ne se rattrape guère, can scarcely be recaptured. Que tout le temps perdu ne se rattrape plus, that all the lost time cannot be recaptured. The second verse, le printemps s'est enfui depuis longtemps déjà. Springtime has already fled for a long time. Craquent les feuilles mortes, brûlent les feux de bois. The dead leaves are cracking and the wood fires are burning. Au voir Paris si beau dans cette fin d'automne, to see Paris so beautiful in that end of autumn. Soudain je m'alanguis, je rêve, je frissonne. Suddenly I languish, I dream, I shiver. Je tangue, je chavire. I toss, I turn, overturn like a ship. Et comme l'Arangan, and as in the saying, je vais, je viens, come, I go. Je vire, je me tourne. I spin, I turn around, je me tourne, je me traîne, I drag myself. Ton image me hante, je te parle tout bas. Your image haunts me, and I speak low. Et j'ai le mal d'amour, et j'ai le mal de toi. And I have said the sickness of love and the sickness of you. And then the chorus, quand reviendras-tu? When will you come back? At least you know that all the time which passed by can scarcely be recaptured, and all the last time can no longer be recovered. By the way, this is kind of like the world premiere of me singing. I did sing at my sister's wedding 40-some years ago. So, special occasion. Voilà combien de jours, voilà combien de nuits, voilà combien de temps que tu es reparti. Tu me dis cette fois, c'est le dernier voyage, un accord déchiré, c'est le dernier naufrage. Au printemps tu verras, je serai de retour. Le printemps c'est joli, pour se parler d'amour. Nous irons voir ensemble les jardins refleuris et déambulerons dans les rues de Paris. J'ai le mal d'amour. like to mention that I don't have Sailor Missing, but if you want to read the nonfiction poetry book that I wrote, you can go get it and order it on Amazon. It's called The Villanelle Book, and you can just find it under my name. Thank you very much.
Thank you.